Hello, we are live. All right, my name is Chris, and tonight we are going to paint Awesome Possum Mom. And it's a funny story how I came up with this idea for a possum sort of Mother's Day theme, because Mother's Day is this weekend. Happy Mother's Day to the moms that are watching right now. So the idea came from my sister. She had her third baby, and I was joking. I sent her a meme of a possum trying to eat food, but there was like a million babies on the Possum Mom. And I just thought it was funny, and I sent it to my sister. I said, "This is Amanda trying to eat with all of her babies." And it was just a funny thing. And then I thought, well, why don't I make a watercolor of a Possum Mom, and then you can customize the number of babies to maybe your own family. It could even represent like maybe a grandmother with grandchildren. It could be anything you want, really. It could be just like one mom and one baby. It could be like you could have like two adults cuddled together, maybe facing each other, and then their babies with them. It could be any number of possums you want. And sometimes you see possum spelt with the O, like opossum. And it's interesting that you can pronounce the O of opossum or not. So even if it's spelt with the O, opossum, you can just still say possum. That is correct technically as well. But yeah, I think this is going to be an awesome little maybe card idea. You could make a little mini version, put it on a card, make a big version like this, frame it, and give it to a mother figure in your life. It could be an aunt. It could be like, this could be cousins. It could be grandchildren. What about after this is dry, you take a pen and then you write like little names of each person in the family, right? That'd be adorable. And you could write, Happy Mother's Day 2024, or, some kind of cute sentiment to give to your mom this weekend. And I would love to see your versions of this, whether it's like a different number of possum babies or a different, maybe a different wreath style or colors. You could customize this to, say, your mom's favorite colors. My mom does enjoy purple, so I will demonstrate purple today. But it's just going to be a cute little Possum Mom. Let's go over the supplies that you can kind of see on the screen, and then we'll get started. And bear in mind that this, it is live, but you are able to put the playback back. You can rewind even live, and you can pause. So if you've forgotten something and you need to go grab it, hit pause. Or if maybe you want a little more time to catch up to where I'm at, just hit pause. Take your time. You don't need to go as quickly as I am. And then just press play when you're ready. So let's talk about the supplies that you can mostly see on the screen here. We will need watercolor paper, and this is the kind that I use a lot, by Canson XL watercolor paper. I'm using quite a big size today, 11 by 15. You could do this any size, any shape. It could be a square, it could be a rectangle. Make it a card size. It would be adorable. Watercolor paper, any brand at all will work. A pencil and an eraser. We're going to draw the possum family by hand. We don't need a pre-printed outline. We're going to do it together ourselves. I've got my watercolors over here and some brushes. I just grabbed sort of like a small, medium, and a bit bigger. Small, medium, large. You could really do this whole painting with just one paintbrush if one is all you have. I do recommend something with a pointy tip. If you have just like literally one paintbrush with a pointy tip, you could do this painting. You can achieve those very fine lines, these little whiskers, these little, what are these little markings of texture on her tail? You can do that with just like one paintbrush, as long as it has a pointy tip. But I just grabbed these three. And I've got my watercolors here. Any brand will be fine, even like a Crayola, maybe like a 10-pack. You could totally do this with any brand. This is by Mei Liang on Amazon, and I just added some cute new stickers on there. Yeah, you don't have to have this many colors. We're actually not going to use very many colors, being a lot of grays. Over here I have my water for my watercolors. You need some water, a bit of paper towel to just dry my brush off, and then an optional supply here. I've got some white paint pen or white acrylic paint just from the dollar store, just a little bit to dot a little white highlight in the eyes that are open. Some of them have closed eyes. They don't have a white highlight. It just gives them a little twinkle in their eye, but that's optional. If you don't have that, you don't have to have it. And then one more optional supply that I have here. I grabbed this plate that's an oval, so I can sort of trace this oval wreath shape around Mama. But if you don't have anything oval nearby, you could just, pencil an oval. It doesn't have to be exact. It ends up being a wreath anyway, so it's okay if it's not perfect. And then I guess the last thing, I put down like a tablecloth or a bed sheet just to protect your furniture if you want. All right, let's get started. Let's put this over here for a second. We're going to draw with the pencil and eraser. I like to take my page out of the pad, but you can keep it in. All right. So I am going to trace my plate to give me a nice even oval. Try to keep that centered in your page. But if you don't have something oval to trace, just wing it. Eyeball, oval shape. It could be a circle. What else would be a cute composition? Maybe a heart. You could pencil in a heart shape and make this a heart shape wreath and fit your possum family inside a heart. That'd be cute. What about, instead of an oval or a circle, what if it's just like a rectangle to just be a border around your paper, just like this, a rectangle? That would be nice too. I've got too much light here. Maybe I turn this light for now so you can see my pencil lines. Otherwise, it kind of washes it out. So I've got my oval, could be a circle, could be more organically shaped oval, and you have your eraser if you need to erase or adjust. So I'm going to draw relatively dark so that you can see my pencil marks, but at home, maybe draw a little bit lighter so that your pencil isn't as visible in the end. So I've got one big mama. Again, you could change the composition. It could be two. It could be two adults like cuddled together. One big mama, and she is quite oval, and then any number of babies that we'll add after. So let's go with maybe like this, and it doesn't have to be perfect at all. Let's go like this. Kind of a lumpy oval in an oval. Mama's body. All right, let's add some features to Mom. So she needs a head. That's very important. What would you call that shape? Like it's kind of egg shape in that it's rounded up here by her top of her forehead here, and then it comes down sort of to a point, but kind of a rounded point. So let's give her a head over here. But we can erase and adjust. I'm going to get rid of that line that's sort of cutting through her head from our body. And remember, draw lighter at home than I am. And you can erase and adjust if you want her snout to be pointier. Sort of like that. It comes to a bit of a snouty end here. Give her some ears, very similar to like a mouse's ears. If they're not exactly the same as each other, it's okay. It's going to be okay. So I drew two ears, but I mean, this one looks a little bigger than that one, but I can erase and adjust as needed. And they don't have to be perfectly round. They could be a little bit jagged. Maybe she's been in a fight or two defending her brood here. So maybe there's like a little chunk missing of her ear. That's okay too. She's seen some things. There's her sort of mousy looking head. And it could be any angle. If it's more like tucked this way or this way, that's okay too. I'm going to give her a big old, what would you call that? Her thigh? Is that like her thigh or like her knee? You know, like cats kind of curl up and they've got that sort of big bulgy leg bit. Let's go like this. There we go. And you can, later on, you could tuck a little baby in there or not. You could just leave her on her own there. That's sort of her thigh, let's call it. And then like a tail, like, I don't want to say like a rat's tail, but it is kind of a ratty tail in that it is hairless. So maybe the tail comes out around here. Maybe it goes up a little. It could have a curve, or it could be straight. It could be more curvy. Maybe something like that. And erase and adjust if you have lines that are crisscrossing each other that you don't need anymore. You can erase those, tidy up your drawing a bit. You can round out her bum a little. Something like that. And it doesn't have to be exact. We're going to paint over a lot of these lines. Yeah, make it nice big tail. Her tail's almost to her face. It could even be like her face is resting on her tail. That could happen too. Erase, adjust as you like. She looks quite mousy right now. I'm going to give her a little rounded nose. So we're coming down there. I'm going to erase and tidy up this area. That little cute little button nose. Precious. Let's give her some eyes. So like a lot of prey animals that are hunted by things, their eyes are quite wide. They want to be able to see everything around them. So their eyes are kind of wide set, facing outwards. Like human eyes face forward, but a lot of rodents and prey animals, their eyes are outward to see everything. What would you call this shape? Sort of like a C shape. And kind of low. She's got a lot of forehead here, so keep it quite low. Could be even lower. And then like a beady little eye. And I try to make my eyes the same shape and size, but that doesn't always happen. But try your best to make them the same sort of position. Oh, she's looking so sweet. What a cutie. So that's the basic shape of Mom. All the other things of Mom, like her fur texture, her sort of a widow's peak fur there, we can add with our paint. We don't need to sketch it necessarily. And think about how many children you want this mom to have, this awesome Possum Mom. It could represent your own family. Maybe you're the mom and you've got your kids, riding you all the time, so to speak. Maybe it's grandma with the grandkids. Could be, anything you want. Maybe you have a daycare and you're the daycare owner, and then you've got the little kids at your daycare. Wouldn't that be adorable? How many do I want to do for myself? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one has 6. I'm thinking I'm going to go big. I'm going to go 8. Personally, I'm going to do this for my own mom who had 4 kids, and then there's 4 grandkids, so I could do all 8 of us all together. That could be, it's going to be very cozy on Mom's back here, but you do as many little babes as you want to do and spread them out appropriately. I'm going to try to squish in 8. So I'm going to probably do like 7 and 1. We'll see how this works out. Any amount of babies will work. We're going to give them little faces that are kind of peeking over mom's back. So here's mom's back. Give them a little rounded face. Same with mom. Kind of like an egg. Give them some big ears. Really, we're just going to line up a whole bunch of faces. We don't really see much of their bodies. And so these guys are kind of like facing us. This one's sort of like looking at the side, but it could be any number of front-facing babies or side-facing babies, and just squish them all in. And you could have different sizes to represent maybe like oldest and youngest. And they could overlap. I think I'm going to have to overlap some of these because I'm going to try to get 7 plus 1, 8. I'm going to try. And maybe I'll do a sideways facing baby. Right here. They don't all have to face forward. I've got 3 up there. You could do different angles too. They could be kind of like, touching noses with each other. That would be a sweet little arrangement. I want 3 more. Oh, how am I going to do this? How will I fit them all? I'll do another sort of side view. They really just look like little mouse heads. I'm sure they're all in the same family of rodents. I need to fit 2 more. I can do this. I know I can do it. And my sketch is all messy. There's extra lines. There's, uneven ears. It's okay. We're going to cover it up. 1 more, if I can fit 1 more down here. They are really riding her, all these little guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to put 1 in here. A little cutie like peeking out from the leg here. So sort of a profile side view. Cute, just like a little neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the 4 kids and then the 4 grandkids. Yeah. That just looks insane. But have you ever seen a possum or photos of possums? They have that many babies. It's crazy. I'm going to take my eraser and just sort of erase the line that kind of cuts through them all, because mom's back is kind of cutting through all my babies' faces. I don't want that. If you're doing less babies, maybe your babies are a little bit bigger, or you could space them out a little more. There we go. That tidies it up a bit. Cute, cute, cute. I will pencil in the baby's noses and the baby's eyes, and they could be closed eyes or open eyes. I've got a variety there. Closed is just, that sort of C shape, or maybe like a comma, if you will. And then, this guy here is sort of a side view, so you just see 1 eye. This guy here also a side view, 1 eye. What if one is winking? You could have an open eye and a closed eye, like a wink. That could be cute too. All right, let me draw a couple eyes and noses, cute little bulbous button noses. Little nose. Give you a little nose. You could give the side view ones, you could even give them a little bit of a smile. Could be smiling at you. And I'll give them some little eyes. Again, kind of wide and low. Big foreheads. They could all be sleeping. If you don't want to actually draw them awake at all, they could all be sleeping. I mean, yeah, right now all of them are sleeping, but I'll do a couple with some eyes open. Just for interest. Something different, a couple of them with their eyes open. Maybe this one's looking at me. And that's really all we need to do for the sketch. We're not going to sketch like the leaves. We're going to just paint the leaves directly. We don't need to sketch like the whiskers. We're going to do that with our paint. Let's bring in my light again. Is ooh, that washes it right out. Okay, well, if you need to work on your sketch a little bit longer, just press pause. Press pause and work on that a tiny bit more. You can erase and adjust and squeeze in another baby. One last thing I might add, a little bit of hands. There's a couple little paws showing. Here's a little paw. There's one. But not every baby needs to have a paw visible. I'm just going to add a few, like maybe where I have like a gap. So here's like kind of a bigger gap here. I'll do a little as if he's got his little paw. I didn't even look to see how many like toes they have on their paws. I just gave them four little toes on their paw. Wherever you have like a blank spot, just throw a little paw in there. Where else would I want a little paw? Maybe right here. It doesn't have to make sense. They don't all need visible paws. Yeah, and if you have any if you have more room than I have, and you could put like a little bit of someone's body. So here's like a little bit of a gap here. I put a little bit of a line here. So this is maybe his body. Yeah, but all this in between space is someone's body. We're just going to paint it gray in there anyway. It's got to be someone's shoulder, neck. I think that's good. Now I'm going to do something that you don't have to do. I'm going to lightly erase mine because mine's quite dark and I want it to be a little lighter. But if you have been drawing yours light in general, then you're good. But I'm just going to lightly, or if you have any really dark areas, just lightly erase it so it's visible but light. But for demonstration purposes, I got to draw it a little darker than normal. Yeah, this butt, this tail, just a little bit lighter. It's going to be such a lovely shade of pink, light pink. So, and I might even, I'm going to lightly erase my oval, just so I don't end up seeing it in the wreath. Okay, that's just lighter. I can see it well myself because I'm right in front of it. It might be a little light for the camera, but you'll still know where things are. Get that fluff, eraser fluff. Okay, let's bring my light back. Bit more light. Yeah. Good. I'm done with the pencil and eraser. Get those brushes in, get the paint in, the water. Let me start with maybe like a medium brush. Yeah, anything you have that's sort of medium-y, not too big, not too small. We're going to work light to dark, as is tradition with most watercolor, light to dark. And most of our family of possums is gray. They're gray. And you'll find that most watercolor sets don't have gray specifically, but you do have black. Gray is going to be made from black. Get your medium brush wet. I'm going to get a little bit of black and I bring it over here. I like to mix in my lid, or if you don't have a lid like this, a plate, a palette. I've got some old black here from before. A little bit of black with a lot of water. We're going to make very pale, pale, pale gray. So get a little bit of black from your pan. Get it in a mixing area. Lots of water. I'm going to dip, get some water. Dip, get some water. Dip, get some more water. So pale, like the weakest coffee or tea you've had. That's how pale we want it. Very light. Look at that nice puddle, very see-through. We want to keep most of our faces light or white, actually. So if you look, well, the lights are really washing it out. There is some very pale gray on her face and their faces, but it's mostly left white. So we don't want to fill in their whole face, but sort of near their eyes. So I've got this very, very watery, very light gray. I'm going to do some of this near their eyes. So look how light that is. It's like see-through, and it's going to dry even lighter than that. So I'm going to put some of that sort of on both of Mom's eyes. And it could be messy. Like those are just blobs right now. Nothing special about those blobs. Maybe bring it up a little. This could be like sort of eyebrow area, or just insanely wild eyeshadow on this mom here. But we want to leave like bridge of the nose. Leave that alone. Forehead. Leave that alone. There's some gray there. The palest gray you can make. And I want to do some on each baby. So sort of, again, right near their eyes, light, light gray. And it's so see-through, you still see your pencil through it. So a little bit of gray at each eye, but don't go on the bridge of the nose. Don't go on the nose itself. Just blobs. They're not even like on this same guide. They're not even the same left and right. It's okay. So light, so pale. Oh, don't forget this guy down here. Little guy down there. So light. Where else do I want it really light? I want it really light. If I'm imagining the sun shining on a possum, I'm picturing it, well, I have a light like right here. I'm picturing that's the sun, and it's shining on my mom. Maybe her, what did we call this? Like her thigh is going to be light gray. So what if I just get some light gray, this super pale light gray, and put some right here on her, this rounded part of her thigh or knee, whatever we want to call that. Very pale, very light. So see-through. And if it settles and there's like lighter patches, darker patches within that, that's okay too. That's fine. Lovely. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more of this very, very, very watery gray. The mom has sort of like a widow's peak hairline. When a human has that kind of point at the front, we call that like a widow's peak hairline. We're going to do some very, very pale watery gray in the shape of a widow's peak. So her whole sort of forehead here between her two ears, like a triangle, sort of like a triangle, very pale, a little bit messy. The edge doesn't have to be like smooth. I kind of like to mess it up on purpose, get it kind of jagged, because it's hair, it's fur. It wouldn't be a perfectly smooth line. So that's like the forehead, widow's peak area of mom. I'm going to do that with all the babies too. But they're so small. It takes like a couple little strokes to sort of fill in the forehead. Forehead down that center a little bit, but so light, super light. Kind of have to rely on my description versus seeing it on the camera. It's super light. Forehead, and make kind of like a widow's peak going down. So tiny. I mean, this one, it's going to blend in with the eye. That's okay. If that widow's peak touches and forms one blob with the eye patches, that's okay too. Beautiful. Yeah, we're going to leave most of their faces white. Lovely. We're going to let that dry. And while those little patches are drying, we're going to do some very, very, very pale pink. The palest pink. I mean, can the camera even see it? I've got so much light. It's a super pale pink on the nose and on the tail. But once I put the lights back, it kind of washes it out. But it is a pale pink. Pale pink. All right, wash off your brush. Will I go with a smaller brush? I'll probably go with a smaller brush. Little noses, little ears. Yeah, something small, if you have it. I've got some pink here, but my pink is quite bright, quite fluorescent pink. We don't want too bright of a pink, so I got some pink on my brush. And I mean, I don't have a lot of space here. Just put it right here. Pink. With a little brown. Get a smudge of brown from somewhere. I have multiple browns here. Some kind of chocolatey brown, just a little bit. Mix that in with your pink. So your pink is kind of like toned down, not as crazy bright. And adjust accordingly if you want it more brown. So it's like browny pink. I don't think well, there's some black in it now too. I don't think the camera does it justice. It's quite pink when I look at it with my eyes. Not so much on the camera. And lots of water, tons of water. Dip, add water, dip, add water. Pale watery pink. Pinky brown. I'm going to do mom's little nose. Little nose on mom. Well, mom, you got to get back on camera here. There you go. Little nose of mom. And the little baby's noses. So that's a lot. If some of your pink, accidentally touches some of your wet gray, and it kind of blends and flows into each other, it's going to be okay. That's all right. So I've got a little pink on their noses. This is also going to dry lighter than it appears now. Super pale. Little baby nose. And like sometimes I'm not even staying in the lines. That one went outside the line. Not too worried. We're also going to sort of outline these guys later, so that'll help. Little nose. Don't forget this little cutie if you've got a little cute guy tucked in here with mom. What a little precious guy. Everything is still super duper pale here. And I do want to do some pink in their ears. Still very pale pink. And I kind of do it kind of messily. Kind of sprouting out and up. And it's kind of jaggedy. So it sort of looks like maybe it has some white fuzz or fur around that pink. So don't do it like perfectly rounded. I do it kind of jagged, sprouting out pink. Doesn't have to match, doesn't have to be symmetrical. If some of the pink gets into some of your grays, again, not going to be a big problem. If you have a little face that's, you know, facing this way or that way, like this one is facing this way, pink on the inside of this ear, but this ear is like facing away from us. So that's going to be like a dark background of the back of the ear. Same with this guy. We can see pink inside this ear, but this ear is facing like away from us. So no pink is needed. Let's see. So this guy here, this one here is facing that way. So I'm just going to do pink on the inside of this ear. And I'm going to skip that other ear. But yeah. And some of my ears are overlapping each other. And again, this is going to dry lighter than it appears right now. This kind of has like has a very soft look to it anyway. These guys also kind of remind me of like lemurs a little bit. Good, so we'll let those patches dry. Oh, you need a little bit of pink on you. Almost forgot the little baby here, cuddled up with mom. Let those dry, those little patches. And I'm gonna paint mom's tail pink, this light pink. Her tail looks kind of like an earthworm actually to me. Long pink, it's got these lines on it like an earthworm. And then, yeah, sort of ends right about here. Pink, pale pink tail. Again, if some areas like settle and end up being like darker in some areas and lighter in others, that actually kind of gives you some free shading. Lovely. Let's let that dry. So while these little areas are drying, I'd like to start on some of the wreath around, whether you did an oval or a circle or a heart or maybe a rectangle kind of border, any shape, any size, and you can do any colors. You could do much more traditional colors of leaves, greens, light greens, dark greens. Your mom's favorite colors. What about hot pink and lime green? I don't know what she likes. What about, oh, it could be anything. Anything at all. I've got some kind of pale greens, pale purples, and then some more vivid purples and grays in there. Just think about what colors your mom likes or grandma. What brush? I'm probably going to start with my thinnest brush, and because we're going to start with like stems and things before we get into leaves. And what color will I do? Like a very pale green. I'm going to start with a pale green, but you could do literally any color you want. Blue stems, sure. Brown, like sticks, brown sticks and stems would totally work. I'm going to do green. So I've got this lovely, kind of like an evergreen color, viridian, if you will. Let's put some of that here. Again, lots of water. We're going to start pale, and then we add more vivid things in future layers, but very pale to start. Here's some green. I think I'm going to add a little, maybe like a smidge. I'm going to literally add a tiny smidge of purple into my green, just so it's like not like super bright, kind of like a toned down, muted green, and lots of water. I keep grabbing more water. Green with like, here we go, a little smidge of purple there. The purple kind of grays it out a little bit. But pale, we're going for pale, we're going for watery. That's pretty good. Any color you want. And I like my wreath to go all the same direction. So if you look at this, these leaves are going this way, all the sticks and stems are going this way, and then it goes this way, then it goes this way. There's a flow. Mine is counterclockwise, but you could have yours going this way, flowing clockwise. Either way. And to like help facilitate that, as I'm doing these sticks and stems, I'm going to literally turn my page as I'm going. So maybe watch a little bit and then do. Thin brush, my sort of watery pale, greenish, purplish. And you don't even have to stay on the pencil line. You can kind of go off the pencil line. You can start on the pencil line. These could be a little bit jagged and wiggly. And they could go like right off, branching off into the negative space. Short ones, long ones, crisscrossing ones, just very pale. They don't have to make sense. And I'm constantly rotating. Rotate right on the pencil line, jutting off. Rotate. Rotate, keep rotating. Still keeping it very pale. We're going to layer this. We're going to get some beautiful, vivid colors added after. We got to start light. And then I have gone all the way around, and you can see all the different weird little branches and sticks I've made. But I'm going to go around maybe a second time. Have some crisscrossing. You can have some very thin, small little dies branching off. Whatever feels right to you. We're just kind of bulking it up a tiny bit more. But we are going to add so many leaves and splats to this. This is just sort of the base. Just keep going around. I'd go around 2 times, I think would be the perfect amount. Rotate, keep rotating. If there's light patches, dark patches, clumps, that's all right. Yeah, keep it wispy and light and airy. Not too chunky. Have I gone around? I think I've gone around twice. If you see any little gaps here and there that you want to just throw a little bit more. But look how pale. Everything is so pale right now. That's what we want. We're building it up gradually. That's lovely. Yeah, you can see like some are kind of big and blobby, chunky, but there's a lot of nice, gentle, wispy ones in there too. Cute. This is giving me like kind of like children's, what is it? Beatrix Potter kind of a vibe, children's book illustration vibe. Lovely. Let's let those little vines and sticks and stems dry. Yeah, these patches are starting to dry. We're going to add a second darker gray to our possum. Like a medium. I might go bigger on this one. I might go big brush. Well, yeah, let's go. Yeah, I want to go big brush. This darker gray will be sort of the main gray in here. So I'm going to go with my bigger brush, but use whatever you have if you don't have one quite as big. If you're still working on your vines, remember, you can pause the live feed and catch up. I'm going to make some more gray, but this is going to be a medium gray, darker than our first gray, but not too dark. We're going to have several tones of gray. So there's some black with water, 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 lots of water. And I'm going to put some right here in the middle here and just see, is that a good darkness? Maybe a little bit more black. Not too dark because we are still going to add another shade of gray and black. So that's a good medium. So this whole like area of mom, and I like to paint like in little strokes, brush strokes, like little hairs. So if there ends up being a few white patches, I think that gives it sort of like a furry look. So it's okay to leave white patches is what I'm saying. Okay, up in here, I'm going to go around her ear for now. Kind of go close to these babies' faces. If you end up, you know, painting over a baby's face a little bit, that's okay. Yeah, I'll probably paint the baby's little hand. You know, if you paint over a baby's hand, that's perfect. There's little white gaps where I haven't fully filled it in. That's good. It gives a sense of fur. Get right under here. If your brush is smaller, you just have to do more brush strokes to fill it in. And I'm kind of doing all my brush strokes kind of, you know, one direction, like fur. Let's bring Mom back in here. And then I'm going to get her thigh. This sort of like the back end of her. Get some medium gray on there. And I'll even do some sort of like on the lighter gray that we did, a little bit of this on there. So it's kind of like a gradient, kind of light and medium. But I'm definitely leaving white gaps. I like the little white gaps to give it a sense of a furriness. And like, I'm going to go in between their faces, like between the siblings, let's say, would be a little bit of fur. Fill in some gaps there. Could be, and mine's totally messy. Like you don't realize how messy mine is. Outside of the lines, there's, you know, really darker puddles. My paper is kind of warping too. That's good. That sort of fills in a lot of area. We're going to add more too. I'm going to switch to my medium brush next. Still with that sort of medium gray. If you've run out of the medium gray, just mix a little more. Okay, my mom's face parts have dried. That's good. So I'm going to add more fur to her widow's peak area, but with a smaller brush. So either like a medium or a small one. And we're going to do little fuzzes on her forehead. And I'm flick up. We want it to seem like hair. Up, up, and out, like hair on a cat or a dog. If If you look at their forehead, it kind of goes up. Their forehead goes out. But I'm definitely going to leave some of that lighter gray showing. We don't want to fully cover it up. We want some to still be there. Otherwise, what was the point if we cover it all up? I'm also going to have some of these sort of by the ears, the base of the ear. We can have some of this down the side of the face, like sideburns maybe. Some of this medium kind of a gray. And make all your brush strokes little short, choppy little brush strokes, because this is fur. Down the side of her face. Those are some wicked big sideburns. And then I'm also going to do some of this medium gray sort of as an edge around her ears. Around the ear. But leave a little white. We have that pink middle, but leave some white. So I just kind of made a ring of this medium gray. Don't completely fill in your white. Leave a little white in the ear. Good. And then I'm also going to darken right by the eye, like as if this was like eyeliner. Right there. Where else would I like a little bit more? Maybe like a little bit by the eyebrow, as if we maybe have to pencil our eyebrows in. Couple little fuzzes by the eyebrows. Give her some on fleek eyebrows there. So she's looking fuzzier already. Cute, cute. And it's looking kind of like a mess right now. It's okay. We're going to add more darker colors. We're going to really define areas with our black later too. That's looking good. We're going to do the same for like the babies, but they've got such teeny tiny little faces. I think I'm going to have to go with my tiniest brush. Come over here, you babies. Same thing with this medium gray. Give them some more texture on their foreheads, their widow's peak. Give them some flicks. Flick, flick, flick. Give them some fuzz. All their foreheads. I'll probably do all their foreheads and then go back and do all their ears, let's say. All their little foreheads. Not covering up everything that we did before. Leave some of that still visible. And mine's messy. It's not tidy. I'm going like beyond their top of their head. So maybe it's like a little fuzz sticking out in the air, you know, give them a little mohawk, if you will. Go beyond your pencil lines. You're not restricted to stay in those lines. Cute little fuzzy heads. Oh yeah, so some eyeliner just right there. Just that little curve. But we are going to add some black in there too to really emphasize those eyes. It's starting to take shape. A few more layers. Oh, you need some fuzzy forehead. Cute. Yeah, like up close, it looks like a little bit of a hot mess. But if you put your painting away from you at arm's length, look at it from a distance, starting to take shape. There's starting to be, recognizable forms here. I'm going to do some of this gray around their ears, but I'm going to try to leave a bit of that white still. I like a little white showing in the ear. Little bits, tiny bits. And yeah, the ears where like you don't see the pink, where it's the back of the ear, let's say, I just fill it all in gray. Go. So again, we're doing the fuzz on the widow's peak, that forehead, fuzz that. Darken right by their eyes. Darken around the ears. Sort of outlining the ears. And did I miss a pink? I miss a pink one right here. This guy doesn't have pink in his ear. That's so funny. I'll add that after. Got distracted. Oh, give you a little gray here. Cute. I'm also going to add a little bit more fuzz to Mom's thigh here. Just some extra little fuzz marks right in here, just to give it more texture, like it's fuzzy. Where else? Where else? Where else? Just anywhere it could use a little bit more, a little bit shading, like side of the face, like maybe like chin, but just very light. We don't want a ton of this. Just a few brush strokes. We want to leave most of their faces white. And we are going to outline their faces too, so we can distinguish them from Mom's body. Do you want a little extra fuzz here, buddy? I'm going to quickly give this guy pink in his ear because I forgot. You have a blank ear. Sure, good enough. Good, good, good. It doesn't look impressive yet. Don't worry. This is sort of the awkward middle stage of the painting. Yeah, we've got to get some beautiful, rich blacks in here and really start shaping things, forming things. And that eye highlight's going to really add nice detail. Let's see. Let's add some more to our wreath because that's dry. This is sort of how watercolor painting works. You kind of jump around to different areas as certain things are drying so that they don't smush into each other and bleed and blend. So I'm going to start adding some lovely leaves, but they are going to be pale to start. Yep, not quite the bright colors yet. So like a very pale, here's one right here, very similar to the color I was using before, greeny, a little bit of purpliness to it, very pale. And really the leaves could be like any style you want. They don't have to be exactly like the leaves that I make, whatever you can come up with for your method. I'm gonna use, yeah, something a bit bigger. But you can maybe try with a medium brush to start, just to kind of get the feel for the leaves. I'm going to try it with this big one right now. So a similar color to before, maybe green, pale green with maybe maybe a scooch of purple in it, or maybe a scooch of blue. Try putting a tiny bit of blue into it. But lots of water. Pretty watery stuff. In the later layers, we can add really bold colors. Okay, here's some very pale green. And again, I want sort of all my leaves to kind of flow in the same direction. So as I'm making leaves, I'll turn and turn and turn and turn so that all my leaves are facing the same direction. So maybe watch a leaf or two and then do. So I've got my brush loaded with paint, and some of my leaves don't even attach to a stem or anything. They're just floating. They don't have to actually be on a stem. And there could be like naked stems. There's naked stems with no leaf. Keep that in mind. So I'm just going to randomly choose maybe this stem. I'm going to sort of lightly drag my brush a little bit. Then I'm going to press. I'm pressing my brush. And then I'm going to drag it a little bit more. And then I'm going to lighten up and release. So it's like a little press, and then a harder press, and then light, hard, light. And then I'm going to, so that's like half of a leaf. Too much light, too bright. It's like half of a leaf. If I do another one right next to it and let them sort of touch a little bit or not. So it kind of looks like two halves of a leaf. Okay. Light. The light is helpful, but not all the time. And it's okay if some areas are darker, lighter. Let's do that again. Let's make another. Let's do one right here. Sort of like a light press, heavy press, light again. And you could have a line down the middle as a gap. That's okay. Or both halves could touch and there's no line down the middle. And just try, you can try curving your brush as you go. The ends can be kind of wispy. It doesn't have to be beautiful, smooth leaves. It could be a little bit wispy on the end. I'll do a few more and then I'll hold it up again. It's very pale. And it doesn't really have to make sense. Okay, you crazy lights. Yeah, some areas are a little darker, some lighter, patchy. I've got some with a bit of a line, like a gap. Or any other way you want to make a leaf. It could be just one simple brush stroke. You just, press. That could be a leaf. That's it. Just the one single brush stroke is a totally good leaf. Some on the inside, like towards mom. Some on the outside towards your negative space. But keep it quite light, quite pale. And I'm continuously turning. Turning, turning, so it's always the same direction. If you are left-handed, it'll probably be easier going this way, the other direction. Nice and pale. I think I'm going to switch to a smaller brush and make maybe a little bit smaller leaves too. And they could totally overlap. Like they don't have to all be like that, alternating. Can get some more green. Ooh, that's a lot of green. Get lots of water. I'm going to do a few smaller here and there. And again, they don't have to actually attach to a stem. They could just be hanging out in the air. Do a few more. I don't want to do too many because I do want lots of room for purple ones, darker ones. I think that's like a good amount for now. Still all very pale. There's some that are lighter, darker. Getting there, getting there. So my like medium gray is more dry now. We can do some darker gray. We can do some black. Yeah, looks good. Let's see, I think I'll go with my smallest brush. Yeah. I want a tone of gray that's darker than what we have here, but we're not doing black yet. There still will be black, but I want something between this and black. So get some more black going over here, but this time like less water than we've been doing. Nice rich gray, not quite black yet. Let's test it out. A little bit more. Yeah, I think we're about there. So it's not quite black yet. That's good. We're going to add fur to the mama, and you could do sort of little ridges, little patches, and keeping in mind her fur is going this way on her body, and then on her leg it's kind of going this way to give it a sense of that this is a creature. So you could do little tufts, little patches. Use little short little brush strokes, give her some texture. It doesn't have to be everywhere, but most places. Long ones, short ones, thin ones, thick ones. And again, we don't want to cover up everything that we did before. So leave some of that medium gray showing. Leave some of those white patches showing. Don't cover up everything we've done. And we'll get some of this thigh. Again, little patches, little tufts. Can like kind of fuzz up her rear end. Maybe some of these brush strokes go beyond the pencil onto the, background. Maybe some of these kind of cover up the base of the tail, so it seems like the tail is coming out of the fuzz. maybe there's a bit more in darker areas. So maybe right down in here, sort of the base of her leg, thigh, bum area, maybe just darker in general, just a lot more of this right in here, because the light is shining here, but maybe down here a little less light. Maybe right next to her face. Maybe her face kind of casts a shadow on her body. Or like right in this little nook where this like baby is. Maybe it's real dark in there. Get some extra fuzz, extra dark right in here. Where else might it be extra dark? Like in between little babies, in between that little zone might be a little darker. Extra fuzz in there. Yeah, she's getting more texture. Good. I do want to give her more of this on her widow's peak area, but contain it to sort of the middle. So I'm just going to do sort of the very middle of her widow's peak with this darker gray, leaving sort of this still visible. We don't want to cover that all up. So just the very middle of her widow's peak. A little triangle right here. Same with the babes. I could just do a few brush strokes at the very middle of their foreheads. Just a few. Just a couple. Just fuzz it up a tiny bit more. Barely, just like 4 brush strokes. Well, more than 4, but I'm exaggerating for effect. Let's see what else. Maybe this guy needs a couple on you. Maybe some right in here. And just kind of give it an overall look. Is there any areas that seem pretty empty that could benefit from a few more brush strokes for texture? That's pretty good. Everyone's looking fuzzy. Lovely. Let that dry a moment. The black is going to really help make that pop. How are my leaves doing? They're doing pretty good. I have some damp leaves still, but a lot of my leaves, because we did them so light, so quickly, just a few brush strokes, a lot of them are quite dry. So while that's drying, let's go jump back to the wreath, and we'll go back to the animal, then back to the wreath, and then we'll be done. All right, I'm gonna do, still, I like the big brush for making my leaves, but if you're more comfortable with your medium brush, certainly do that. I'm gonna do more of a purple tone now, purpley gray. Here's kind of my purple puddle. Or your mom's favorite color. Does your mom really like blue? Does your mom really like orange? There is some purple here. Lovely. And this could be like a little bit more pigment, a little bit darker, richer. I am going to add a teeny tiny bit of green into my purple just to kind of dull it down a little bit so it's not super duper purpley. A smidge of green kind of Dulls it down. I like that. And leaves could certainly overlap each other. If you do have a wet leaf and you don't want the colors to bleed into each other, just avoid that one. But it could be a cool effect if some of the purple and the green leaves kind of mix. Yeah, so this is sort of a paler purple leaf. I can't even tell if the camera actually can pick up the purpliness. Oh yeah, it's a little purplier here, but kind of a dull purple. I'm gonna do some really vivid purple later on. And yeah, certainly overlap some. You could overlap the vines, of course, the stems, the sticks. Think about leaves going outward towards the negative space or inward towards the family. Big ones, small ones, a variety, a whole variety. Straight or curvy, and I'm always rotating. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Ooh, that's a nice long one. On the whole, things are still pretty light, pretty pale. Little baby one, little tiny leaves. Could be a leaf with just one brush stroke. Think about, filling up gaps. And you could certainly have things that aren't even attached to anything. They're just out there. Yeah, that's not attached to anything. That's not attached to anything. That's not attached to anything. This one's kind of floating there. Yeah, starting to fill in nicely. But you really start to appreciate your very first leaves, your very lightest ones, once you start layering darker ones on top. And then I've got the super patchy one. I love that. And I've got little, like, accidental little drips that I made. There's one, there's one. But it's okay. Oh, there's another one. We're going to add splats to this anyway. Oh yeah, that's looking good. That's going to dry quickly. This is already looking quite dry. I think we can add some of our final outlines and details. So you could add the eyes, the outlines, the whiskers with like a pen or a thin marker if you don't want to do paint and a paintbrush. So I'm going to use my thinnest brush. I'm going to use black, like black this time, and just outlining like where we have like our pencil lines and we have to put in eyes and things, and we're going to add extra little details. Like we do whiskers, we do like little lines in the ears to make it look fuzzier. Just fun little details. And we want black. But again, if you're not comfortable with fine lines with the brush, marker, pen, make it a mixed media piece. I love mixed media. All right, yeah, these are dry. I am going to paint my eyes black. And I like to rest my hand on the paper as long as it's dry where you're resting your hand. And as long as your hand's not too sweaty too. Sometimes a sweaty hand will kind of pick up your paint and smudge it. We don't want that. Let's get some eyes on this mama. Yeah, they are little beady little eyes, but in a cute way. There we go. And I just drew in that sort of like apostrophe shape again, that sort of a C shape. Nice and black. Try to make them sort of the same. It's okay if they're not. And yeah, outline her ears, outline her. And I do it like a little bit jaggedy, a little bit shaky so that it's not like perfect. Around the ear. Let's give the ear like ear hair, like a couple little lines to make it ear hair. Yeah, cute. Yeah, the lines could be thick, they could be thin. And go around her face a little bit, but maybe make it like kind of jaggedy, like fuzzy. She's got a fuzzy face. So the outline could be a little bit jaggedy. Cute. I am going to give her some more fur on that widow's peak again, but just right in the very, very middle. I know we've said that before with that sort of darker gray, but I just put some black right in the very, 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 very middle, right in there. A few extra little hairs here and there. Some little tufts of hair, wherever you want. Could be next to her face. Maybe a few coming down. We just want her to look as fuzzy as she can be. And I'm going to outline her nose. That sort of tidies it up a little bit, the little round nose. And like I gave her sort of like lines here to make it look more snoutier. But you don't have to add that if you don't want to. Do you think I could fit in a smile? What if I fit in a little, can I fit that in, or will it look kind of crazy? I'm going to try it. I don't know if that looks like a smile so much as just a evil grin. It's hard to make it look like she's smiling. Maybe that's not the way to do it. But yeah, they have these little teeth that stick out, and they kind of look funny. Some very, 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 very light, come back here, you picture, whiskers. I've got some very, very wispy light whiskers, just with like 2 hairs of your paintbrush. Very light. And they don't have to be straight. They could be a little bit droopy. Whiskers. She looks a little crazy. And yeah, I might put a little bit more dark around her ears. A little darker around here. I mean, possums, they're cute, but they're not that cute. They do look a little crazy in real life. Okay. Yeah, she's got more definition, and the highlight in the eye is really going to add a little twinkle. All right, I'm going to outline, you know, the baby's ears, the baby's eyes, noses, and that'll help define, you know, where the babies are nestled into her fur. Give them a couple of ear hairs. Darken around their ears. All the same steps we did for Mom. Tiny little eyes. Again, if you want to grab a pen or a marker and do these tiny little features. Especially if you're making like a small, like a card version of this. Yeah. So many. I don't have any regrets on how many I added here, but maybe you guys do. Maybe you added a lot and now you got to do every single baby. Yeah, if you look, so I'm like halfway through these babies. These babies I've outlined, added more detail. They look more vivid, more 3D with that outline versus these guys look kind of washed out, faded, too like blended in with Mom. That's why we do what we do. We start light and we get it darker. Oh, so cute. Yeah, and keep in mind what I said earlier, maybe add like a phrase or add names representing all these little guys. Family name. Just some lovely Mother's Day sentiments. So cute. Get some ear hairs. Don't forget your ear hair. We're getting there. And I haven't forgotten my little hands. We had those little paws that might have gotten lost along the way. They might be covered up, but we can get them back in there. Cute. Now I'm going to try to do the lightest little baby whiskers I can do. It's going to be tough. Just a few whiskers. I mean, the whiskers are going to crisscross each other because they're all snuggled up really close. Just get some very light wisps, just 2 hairs of your paintbrush touching. Oh yeah, barely there. And I can't forget this little guy. He's a little lost down there, but if we start outlining his ears, his nose, he'll come right back again. Go, and of course you can certainly take much more time outlining everyone, really getting some nice details in their fur and their ear hairs. Little cutie. Couple little whiskers on you. And I'm going to outline the rest of Mom's like thigh and tail. There we go. And it's okay if, as you're outlining the tail, it's a little bit lumpy bumpy, it's a little bit wiggly, because I'm sure that their tails have texture, have, you know, lumps and bumps. They're not perfectly smooth tails. What color did I do? I added some little lines on the tail just to give it some texture. I think I'll do that with sort of like lighter gray, grayish, pinkish, not black, but I'll do a few little marks. Now it's really going to look like an earthworm, but I can't help that. Short ones, light, long ones. If yours has like a little bit of a curve to these, then it kind of gives it the sense of a rounded tail. I mean, that was just really quick. You could spend much more time adding some lines on the tail as texture. And I will add a bit of black fur to Mama's body, like, oh, anywhere, like by the bum, in any of these sort of dark areas, get some black fur in there. Little patches, little tufts of black fur throughout. Break up some of those kind of big areas. Get a few black patches. Oh yeah, just a few really, really adds to it. Oh, sounds like my family's home. Of course, they always come in and make such a racket. Yep. Can't figure out the door. Always got to do it like a couple times. There we go. All right, so I've got ear hairs, I've got whiskers, I've got the eyes, I've got the noses outlined, the little hands, oh, the little paws. I'm just gonna outline. If you've lost where your little paws are, just make it up. Make up a little paw somewhere. I did 4 little toes, but I don't know. They might have 5 like us. I don't know. Or 3. Just some cute little paws in here. Where else could I fit one in? Maybe right in here. Little paw. Where else could I squeeze in? Maybe right in here. Little tiny paw. Barely visible. Just little tiny little hands in there. So cute. That's so cute. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. I want to add my final leaves, like something brighter, a little more vivid, and splats, and maybe a few eye highlights, little highlights here and there. Cute. I'm going to go back to my big brush. If you're still working on your outlines and things, of course, you can pause. You have that ability. Yeah, I'm going to do purple because I was saying my mom loves purple. And this time I'll probably just use like straight up purple. You could overlap some of your existing leaves, of course. But again, I'm going to keep rotating, rotating, rotating. So they're all going to face the same way. Maybe I'll do some smaller ones. Let's see here. I've got some, yeah, it's like a half and half, dark and light, dark and light. All kinds of unique things happening. I like what I've got so far. And is it balanced? Sometimes I hold my painting like away from me and decide, you know, is it a bit bigger on one side than the other, top or bottom? Is it about the same? It's pretty good. But you can add other colors. Don't let me stop you from adding some blue, some yellow. Do whatever you like. What do I want to do? I want to kind of, I'm going to darken Mom's nose a little bit. It's kind of bothering me. It's a little bit, whoop, that's too dark. Mom's nose was just like really, really, really light. I just wanted to kind of darken around it so that it looks more like rounded. Yeah, I made her nose like a little bit darker at the edges. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to add some little teeny tiny itty bitty white dots for eye highlights if you have any that have open eyes. So I just get my white here or a paint pen. You can dot a dot with the paint pen. Get my teeny tiny brush, or you could use the back end. If you have a thin brush with a very small like butt of the brush, you could use that to dot some eye highlights, but I'm going to use just a white dot in each eye. Makes her seem friendlier. Doesn't that kind of make her eyes kind of twinkle like she has a cute mama possum personality? That baby's eyes are open. He gets a twinkle. This baby's eyes are open. Cute. Oh, this baby's eye is open. This one eye. Just that teeny tiny. They're so tiny. These little white dots. They're mama's eyes. It helps. I think it helps. I'm also going to add like the tiniest little highlight to, if you haven't noticed, their ears. I put a little curve of a highlight with white on their ear tips, the edges of the ear, as if maybe their fur is a little bit shiny and maybe there's a bit of a highlight. And, or you could skip it. You could skip it totally. Just like a little bit. And it doesn't have to be straight. Just on their ear tips. Just like one little boop, boop, little stroke. Barely noticeable. You can skip this step and no one would notice. Tiny, teeny tiny. Where else? On their noses, also barely noticeable. I put one little dab of white on each of their noses, just the tiniest little nose highlight that you can do. One little dab. I did mine on the sort of the left side, but that's because I'm imagining the sun is my light. One little nosy highlight. Tiny dab. Tiny dab. Mom's nose. I'm going to add a highlight on Mom's nose when that's a little more dry. Cute. Like, can you at a glance even see the white that I added on the eyes, nose, and ears? Hardly. Hardly, hardly. Cute. All right. Yeah, I'll wait till I do Mom's. But my favorite part, one of my favorite parts, the splashes. Now the splashes, you don't have to do them. They're not for everyone. If it's not your style, don't do it. I did pale watery colors, And I've got some, get rid of this light. You can't hardly see them. There they are. See those really pale? Oh, there we go. These ones pale, these ones a little darker. Some pale ones, small ones, big ones. Some pale ones here. There's some. Look how pale those ones are. Barely there. All around. If a few land on your possums, that's fine too. Not the end of the world. I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't want more splashes. Move away anything you don't want covered in paint, your phone or anything of value. I've got my tablecloth down, but if you get some on the table, it'll just wipe off. My favorite part, get either your big brush or your medium brush and some very watery paint of colors that we've used. Don't just suddenly add random colors. That would be odd. I'm going to get some very pale, light purple. It's in my brush. So you could tap your finger and some little spray will come from that. Or you can hurl your brush at the page and some bigger splats will happen. So I'm going to do a bit of both. So I'm going to tap lightly, some tiny little drops. Again, it's okay if they land on the possums, but I'm mostly focusing kind of around on the wreath. There's some really small, tender little, get some more water here, or hurl your brush and flick it like a magic wand. And they kind of have a mind of their own. They'll go wherever they want, make weird shapes sometimes. And you be the judge how much is like the perfect amount. So I've got quite a bit going on here. But I'm going to do a little bit of green, a little bit of greeny purple, but light. Ooh, nice. That was a beautiful one. And it's mostly on the wreath or around the wreath, but yeah, you could do like, you know, these corners, this negative space could be very splatty. Okay, that's good. I'm going to put a few on purpose on my possums. That was on purpose. And then I'm going to do gray. Not gray. I might try some more vivid, darker purple, just small. Just a few really dark ones. But you be the judge of what colors and how much you want to do. Okay, maybe that was too much. Okay. At some point, you got to stop yourself from going overboard. I think I'll stop myself there. Looking good. If you do have some on your table, it'll just wipe off with a soapy cloth or wet wipe. And I'm going to sign mine. I'm going to sign it in paint, of course. You wouldn't sign, an acrylic painting with a pen. You wouldn't sign a pencil drawing with a marker. You sign in the medium that you did it in. So I'm going to sign in watercolor. You can have like your whole autograph. You could have the date. You could have whatever you want. You could add, your Mother's Day greeting, names, maybe some birth dates. And I've put mine on a leaf. There's my signature on a leaf. You could hide it in the wreath. You could put a signature in the fur, really hide it in the fur. Isn't that sweet? Just like a gentle, sort of like a children's book illustration. Soft, floral, a little bit floral. And there they are. So a little bit different, but similar. And yeah, I would love to see your finished possum paintings in we have 2 Facebook groups, Watercolor Lovers by Artist Palette Durham Region, or Artist Palette Painting/Drawing Support Group. I think I put links in the description down below of those 2 groups. If not, just on Facebook, just search Watercolor Lovers and that'll pop up, or Artist Palette. You could just check out our page and link to our groups there, I'm sure. Yeah, love to see your photos. Maybe email us even. I would just love to see it, especially if you turn it into a card. All right, are there any questions? You can type in the live chat there. I can answer them right now. Otherwise, I can answer any questions in our Facebook group or through email. Anything at all. I don't know if we have any definite plans for Mother's Day. I think I'm going to see my mother at lunchtime on Sunday. And then I think we're going to go see my mother-in-law for dinner. But I can assure you that no moms will be cooking on Mother's Day. That's a fact. We're going to go out. We're going to order in. We're not doing the cooking. Guarantee. As it should be. All right. I don't see any questions. Hello to Joanna and Marianne. Thank you so much for joining me. It was lots of fun. And this video will be up forever. You could do it this weekend. You could do it anytime in the future. Would love to see that. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a great Mother's Day weekend. Bye now. Happy painting.